How's it going, everyone? Tim here, Tier 2 Adventures. Hope everyone's all well out there. As always, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Yeah, so we just recently saw the Phoenix in one of my recent videos there, so I figured might as well go ahead and knock out a video over the upgrades that I've done so far and my overall thoughts and everything with the Phoenix thus far. Overall, absolutely love this truck. I've put a ton of battery packs through this and a ton of drive time. Absolutely love it. It's quickly became my go-to trail truck. It always finds its way in the truck when we head out for crawling, rather we're taking comp trucks or anything else. It always finds its way in there just to be there if I want to back up or if I decide I wanted to do something else, maybe go on a long trail run or just anything in general with this truck. Like I mentioned in the previous video, in my opinion, it is probably the best release of 2021 and a solid front runner for anything that would be released in 2022. It is just that good of a truck overall, and it is fun. Quality, performance, the kit was a blast to put together in my opinion. Just everything about this truck kind of, just hit all the numbers for me. From the looks, it's got very Toyota-esque look. It's got more geared for performance, more geared for budget friendly. With the portal axles, I like these axles a lot. I'm not necessarily a huge portal guy, but I do enjoy these axles a lot. They still have a very good turning radius. Their clearance is on point. The big kicker here is, again, in the transmission, that twin VFD. Selectable overdrive from 6% to 33%, and the built-in dig is huge. I use those functions a lot. I use all three. I use the dig, honestly, a lot more than I thought I would. I started running dig in this along with my class 3 there, and really starting to get the feel of dig and all that good stuff, and I use it a lot. The 33% overdrive is very huge and beneficial to me. High overdrive, tighter turning radius, helps get that initial bite on some steep climbs and stuff like that and keeps you going. And then, low overdrive, you want to trail with it. You don't have to worry about putting strain on your drivetrain electronics. You have some aggressive side hailing. You don't need the high overdrive. You have low overdrive. You don't have to say, do I want a little bit or do I want a lot? You don't have to choose. It's right there for you at the flick of a switch. Instead, I use both those, the 6% and 33% overdrive. I use a ton. And I can definitely feel and see the difference when using low overdrive on obstacles and high overdrive on obstacles, the pros and the cons. So it's really the more you drive in it and knowing those situations on when each one is more beneficial than the other, because the pros and cons of each, flip with each other. Like side hailing. Side hailing and high overdrive don't mesh too well. It's one of the cons of high overdrive. But with lower overdrive, side hailing is really good. Now with steep climbing, overdrive, it's a pro. With low overdrive, it's one of the cons. So their pros and cons basically wash each other out with, again, the flip of a switch. And overall, like I said, it's been just great. I've put a ton of battery packs with it. The only thing I did have an issue with, and it was on my fault for it, we were out a weekend or two ago, and I had the truck severely bound up trying to in a area. Just kind of fell off my normal line and got down. I was like, oh, I can get out. And it was kind of going. It was one of those when in doubt, throttle out type moments. And I had gloves on because it was a little chilly. And as I was starting to just hit it, I accidentally hit the overdrive with my thumb. And about that time, so everything overdrive was trying to engage, and I just hit full throttle, and nothing meshed the way it did, and it made a very unfriendly noise, and all of us just kind of one big moment, just like, ooh, and it didn't sound the prettiest, but it did drive back to the truck. Just broken one gear there. Got that switched out. That was all my fault. Up until that moment, I had no issues. Wasn't having any noise. It was just in that moment I was bound up and I just hit it. Now, if I wouldn't have hit the overdrive, I would have been just fine. But hitting that while going full throttle at the same time from a bound up point was not my best move. So moving on to some upgrades, because I just can't keep stuff stock. So we did see in the last video, I did change out some electronics in the VS4-10. So we had one of the Spectrum, 2-in-1 like fusion like combos in there. Now overall, for the money and everything else, not gonna knock it. It's a great combo. I have no reason not to recommend it, but I wanted more in this. I wanted something a little bit better, and I wanted to potentially run some more power. We tackled that head on. We installed a Castle Mamba X ESC and one of the new motors from Three Brothers RC, the Kratos Ten in a 1950 kV. So that combo there is rated from 2S to 6S, so I can drastically bump up the power if need be. I have BECs to protect the rest of my electronics and everything else like that, so don't have to worry about any smoke shows. So after getting the motor and ESC in there, next couple things I wanted to kind of take a tackle on were suspension and links. So links, got that taken care of, courtesy of In the Works RC here. We got one of their stainless steel link kits for the VS4-10 Phoenix. I got high clearance uppers and lowers, front and rear, and they are beautiful. Spot on length there, had no issues with install. You know, just gaining that much more clearance can make a difference in certain obstacles and stuff like that. So next thing up were some shocks and shock angles. So on the front here, I did add a brass preload spring cup here from a TRX 4 shock, and it actually fit really well on there. I'm not sure how much of a difference it's going to make. It's mostly because I found it laying around. I was like, I think that'll actually fit. I'm still debating on doing either the mini T-spring mod to these shocks or just replacing the shocks in general with the 80mm big bores from In the Works. So probably more to come on that. But I did want to tackle shock towers and some shock angle there. So we picked up the IERC shock towers for the VS4-10. They fit. It's the same shock tower, Phoenix, VS4-10 Ultra Pro. Same shock tower there. And really nice there, you know, just to get some more shock adjustment points, mounting locations, everything like that. And, you know, instead of being straight up and down, you know, just get a little bit of angle there. I've liked it a lot. It doesn't do worse than it did before. So that's a plus. I didn't make it worse. It's always something when you do some mods, change some shocks, and you're going to take it out. I was like, oh dear, what did I do? It's always good when you actually do something and it's at least not worse. Now here in the rear with these shock towers, I did trim a little bit here in this servo kind of back half cover there. I did cut a little bit out of there for the IERC shock towers to come through. And one thing I was concerned about for the cage on the Phoenix here, it goes into the shock tower, the stock shock tower where like the body post would be. So I was curious because I still want that because I think that's a very strong part for rigidity on like, you know, impacts and stuff like that. Well, I didn't have to worry too long about it because the IERC shock towers line up perfectly with those mounts. So they actually set right on top of the metal shock tower. So I stressed myself out over nothing. It was a perfect fit. I'm starting to see a lot of cool stuff out there. I think someone posted some 3D printed panels here. They look really, really good. So I might try and see if I can get that file and get some of those printed. Also, I've seen some prints here for like the rear bumper area to protect like these corners and just an overall full width bumper here. So again, more cool stuff coming out with this thing all the time. It's just been a solid, fun truck. Like I said, easily my favorite trail truck right now. I would not really think twice about building just a second one to build one, or at least when it's available, getting the twin VFD by itself. Hopefully maybe they'll come out with some different mounting options for the servos, and we might have to try one of those transmissions in one of the comp trucks, because like I said, not having to choose between high overdrive and low overdrive because you have both would be really, really huge in certain areas. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel down below if you haven't already. Any comments, suggestions, go ahead and put them down below. Do my best to try to answer everybody, and I'll link everything I did here in the description, as always, with a list of other websites and everything else I use to generally source all my parts from. So until next time, everyone, have a great one and crawl on.